In 1985, two young British climbers tackled the untouched, perilous west face of Siula Grande in the Peruvian Andes. They summited, but only one walked down. The other, Joe Simpson, with a shattered leg, had to crawl for miles alone. This is the true story of the rope, the storm, and the fall into the void. Joe Simpson, who was 25, and Simon Yates, who was 21 years old, weren't legends. They weren't sponsored athletes. They were young, stubborn, and chasing pure alpine style, climbing with the bare minimum, relying only on skill and nerve. Their target in 1985, a remote 6,344-meter giant known for avalanches and unstable snow, Siula Grande. A mountain where mistakes aren't survived, they're disappeared. The west face had never been climbed. It was the kind of challenge that either makes reputations or ends lives. Early on, the expedition progressed smoothly. Weather conditions were stable, and the technical climbing, though demanding, was within their skill level. Archival accounts describe this stage as efficient and controlled. The pair made steady progress up the 4,000-foot west face, establishing their bivouacs directly on exposed ice slopes, and after several days of climbing, Simpson and Yates reached the summit ridge, eventually standing on the peak of Siula Grande. Now, during their climb, the weather had changed almost immediately. As the storm started to hit, their visibility vanished, snow softened, and the ridge turned hostile. This is when the moment came that changed everything. Simpson had stepped onto what he thought was solid snow. The snow had collapsed. He plunged, and when he landed, his leg snapped so violently he heard it break. When Simpson hit the ground, his tibia splintered like a toothpick, and shards cracked up into his kneecap, and at 6,000 meters isn't an injury. It's a nearly death sentence, and thankfully that wasn't the case. But Simon Yates made a choice that almost no climber makes at that altitude. He would not leave Joe behind. However, this is where circumstances and choices start to become very difficult for both Simpson and Yates. Simon Yates began the nightmarish task of lowering his climbing partner, the severely injured Joe Simpson, down the impossibly steep, snow-swept face of Siula Grande. Simpson had shattered his leg, and a ferocious storm blinded the descent. Operating on instinct and fatigue, Yates anchored precariously every 150 meters to manage the rope. The descent was agonizingly slow. Unseen and unable to communicate in the storm, Simpson slid tragically over the lip of a massive hidden crevasse or vertical cliff. He was left dangling 100 feet in absolute darkness. Yates felt an immediate, immense jolt of dead weight that threatened to rip his fragile anchor. He fought for nearly an hour. Yates had then cut the rope to save himself from likely dying in this situation. This left Simpson in one of the worst moments he has ever experienced. Was this betrayal, or was this a move that helped both climbers survive a very dangerous event? Joe didn't die. He fell into a crevasse and landed on a narrow snow bridge, which helped break the fall and allowed him to survive. Simpson had fallen approximately 150 feet. He woke in darkness with one thought. This is how people die up here. But a faint slope of snow, illuminated by his headlamp, led upward toward a thin glimmer of light. Crawling with one ruined leg, he dragged himself out of the glacier and into a storm that hadn't let up. He went 3 days without food and water. What Simpson ended up doing to help with his survival was eating snow to help keep him hydrated, crawling and dragging himself across miles of jagged glacier. He also hallucinated voices, saw imaginary lakes, and drifted in and out of consciousness. Thankfully for him, this didn't stop him from trying to survive. After cutting the rope for his own survival, Yates had made it back to base camp. Yates believed Joe was dead. He waited as long as he could, broken by the decision he'd made. On the night before he planned to leave, he heard something outside. A faint, raspy call that had seemed barely human. It was Joe. He had crawled the impossible distance. Yates dragged him into the tent, and the two began the slow journey back to civilization. Joe's survival defied every survival model on record. When their story got out, Simon Yates became the center of a firestorm. Many climbers accused him of abandoning his partner, but Simpson never had his own honest opinion. Cutting the rope didn't kill him, it saved Yates's life. And the hours before that moment, Yates had done the impossible to keep Joe alive. Their story became the book Touching the Void, later adapted into a documentary that stunned viewers and critics around the world. Joe Simpson's incredible survival after his devastating fall on Siula Grande, culminating in an agonizing 3-day crawl to base camp, is a testament to human endurance. Experts attribute his success, and it proves a simple truth. Sometimes the human will is stronger than the mountain. Guys, thank you all for watching, and please subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more content like this. Have a great day, everyone.